each had a place. So I sold mine and we got together, and then looking at how are we going to plan our future. But we were working 60 to 80 hours a week. And we just, I don't know, we do things with passion when we get into it. And we rose through the organization, the government organization we were in, and we were just super busy. And at one point we thought, what are we going to do? Because we looked at our retirement savings, and we've been through the dot-com bust, we've been through the financial crisis. But also, I remember at one point looking at my mutual funds and where I was at one point, it took 8 years where I recouped and was back at where I was 8 years ago. That's where my mutual funds were now. And I thought there's got to be a better way. So we actually had looked at there was something happening here in Ottawa. There were like a business symposium, and we had listened to various things. And one guy came in from the States, and he was talking about real estate. And I said, oh, you know what? Maybe that's what we need to do. Well, it's a good thing. We bought in, but it's a good thing they have that, what do you call that?
10-day cooling down period.
The cooling down periods after 3 days. And I said, we're working 60 to 80 hours. Like, when are we going to have time to do this? So we canceled. So again, over the years, and then just listening and hearing, and then we thought, you know what? This is, I think, what we need to do. So when I retired is the day we started real estate investing, which was January 29th, 2010. That's when I retired from government, and that's when we started. And I had started just a few months before taking real estate courses, because we had jumped in to buy stocks at some point, got caught in the hype of the dot-com era, and we lost everything. Well, actually, no, on one stock, it wasn't everything, because on one stock, that was a $10,000 stock, I got $18.34 out of it. That's what was left at the end of my 10,000. So we thought, you know what, we're not going to do anything until we educate ourselves. And this is why we started taking real estate courses, so that we knew what we were doing. We were not going to jump in again without understanding what we were getting into. And that was probably, to me, this is a big lesson for everybody. Get educated. Like, we hear of too many people, right, having problems. They jump in because everybody tells them the real estate is the thing to do. But if they don't know what they're doing, they can lose their shirt. So we didn't want to lose our shirt. We had already done that before. So we wanted to grow into a comfortable retirement. So we got into real estate, and we jumped in with 2 feet. And for us, one of the courses that we attended, we were just chatting amongst investors, and I heard the words RSP mortgage. Nobody else heard it. I couldn't even tell who had said it as I looked around. And it was enough to tweak my interest to try to find out what that was all about, because I was about to leave government, and what the government did then, they don't now, but they gave you a severance pay. So you got so much per every week that you had been with them, or not every week, every year that you had been with them, they paid you a certain amount.
And so it wasn't enough? It wasn't enough for retirement? Because people say, work for the government, get a pension, you're set.
Well, the thing is, I worked 20 years for the government, because my past, I come from a teaching background, and I've also had a business before, and then lived overseas in the Caribbean, and then came back to Canada. And I thought, do I go back to teaching my business? I went back to teaching for a while, and I thought, no. And then I actually applied for the government more on a dare than anything. And it's a good thing they didn't hire me. It took about 9 months before they hired me. Otherwise, because they'd say, oh, come on in, we'll do an interview. And I'd look at the calendar and said, no, I'm traveling that day. And I would just say no, because I wasn't looking for a job. But then I guess by that time, let's give this a try. And they hired me temporarily. And I thought, I can do anything temporarily. And it was supposed to be for 6 months, but that 6 months turned into 20 years. So I had a career with government. Stuart was 31 years.
Yeah. I mean, basically.
So sorry, where are the big fat pensions?
Well, if you stay with the government for a full career, the way that the pension is calculated, or at least it was when we worked, was 2% of your salary per year. So for Denise, she worked 20 years, so she gets 40% of her last pay. I worked 31 years, so I get 61% or 62% of my last pay. So because I retired as an executive, I actually don't have to worry about putting groceries on the table. My government pension will pay for that.
My pension, I call it pocket money.
And even so, if we wanted to just sit around like a couple of old retired people who get up in the morning, have a coffee, sit on the front porch, and then at night go in and eat a can of beans for supper, we could probably live off our pensions. But to have a lifestyle, the kind that we want,
Yeah.
plus we've got, our kids are scattered across the globe. So traveling is something that we like to do.
And we've got 8 grandkids.
We basically needed to do something different. And that's why investing in real estate was what caught us. But we also wanted to make sure that the money that we had in our RRSPs grew appropriately. And that's why we were really excited when we learned that we could invest in real estate and get a better return. I mean, with mutual funds, back in the day, we were lucky if we were getting 3 or 4%. And these days, I think it's even worse. Mm-hmm. And so with investing in real estate, we're able to do mortgages where basically, because they are private loans, and your listeners who are involved in real estate will understand as private loans, there are ways that you can get a high single-digit return or even a low double-digit return on your money, because for an investor who's looking for capital, paying 8, 9, 10% is not a hard interest rate to take. But as an RSP holder, to earn that's far better than I'm going to get going to any of the banks or trust companies who are going to sell me their mutual funds. So that's what got us involved in RSP mortgages.
And that's when we learned that, like I said, very early on, because I thought, great, the government, when I left the severance pay, they had asked me, do you want it in RSPs or do you want it in cash? And I said, I don't want RSPs because we had lost so much. And then I heard about these RSP mortgages and I thought, I went back to the government because I hadn't quite left yet. I said, change my mind, put in RSP. And what I did, that severance, I actually went to a table of 8 investors at one of the classes. And I just said, I have this many thousands of dollars for an RSP mortgage. Is anybody interested? And I'm telling you, all 8 around the table said, pick me, pick me, pick me. And then they started bidding with a percentage rate as to what they were going to offer me. Did I know what I was doing at the time? No. And then somebody hit a number, I said, and it got quiet. I said, sold. And I ended up investing on a 3-year rent to own at that time with my RSPs. And I thought, this is great. I'll recoup some of my losses. But like I said, finally, the light bulb went on and I thought, these are all borrowers. Why can we not be borrowers? So we turned the tables, and now all of our properties, we actually use registered funds. So not only does it help us to get properties by using other people's money, but the real benefit there is helping people that were just like us. That, when we started in the workforce when we were younger, and they keep telling you, put money aside in mutual funds because by the time that you retire, you're going to have this big nest egg. You look at people today that are retired or about to retire. How's their RSP funds today? Do they have that nice big nest egg that they were promised way back when? No, it's not there. It just has never materialized. So when we hear people now that, because we're lenders and borrowers, we do both. We have a real estate portfolio and we have a mortgage portfolio. We do both. But when you help people, you talk to people to find out that somebody who thought they were getting 14% on their RSPs, and when we got together, we looked at their statement, they had 2 statements. One, they were getting 0.66%, and the other one was getting negative 0.24%. So do you think people are open now to want to get a better return? Of course.